They told me everything because they thought I'd never use it. That was the assumption. That whatever passed between us stayed harmless, contained, inert. At first, I believed that was trust. The kind that feels earned. The kind people offer when they think you're safe, non-threatening, loyal in the quiet way that doesn't demand recognition. They spoke freely around me. Confessions slipped out casually. Frustrations. Doubts. Private frustrations they never shared publicly. I listened the way I always had, attentive, neutral, composed. What I didn't notice at first was the contrast. How easily they confided in me while subtly working against me elsewhere. How warmth in private coexisted with erosion in public. Compliments delivered face-to-face, skepticism planted quietly behind my back. They assumed those two worlds would never touch. I became the container. The place where things were said without consequence. They trusted my restraint more than they respected my position. And because I didn't react, didn't expose, didn't confront, they mistook my silence for alignment. The imbalance revealed itself slowly. In moments that felt off but not explosive. In decisions made without me, informed by things they had already discussed with me privately. In the way my insights were absorbed, then repackaged elsewhere without acknowledgement. They used closeness to gather information, not to build connection. I noticed the pattern before I admitted it to myself. How freely they spoke when they thought I was beneath suspicion. How comfortable they were sharing vulnerabilities while subtly undermining my credibility. Trust, I realized, wasn't mutual. It was strategic. Still, I stayed quiet. Not out of fear. Out of observation. I wanted to understand the full shape of what was happening before I decided how to respond. I didn't need proof. I needed clarity. And clarity comes fastest when you stop interrupting people while they reveal themselves. Once I saw it, I couldn't stop seeing it. The way private honesty became a shield against accountability. The way intimacy was used to disarm me. They spoke as if proximity guaranteed loyalty, as if being trusted automatically meant being controlled. The moral tension crept in quietly. I knew things. Not dramatic secrets, but enough context to see how narratives were being shaped. Enough to recognize manipulation dressed up as concern. The temptation to confront them rose more than once. To call out the contradiction. To demand consistency. But confrontation would have shifted the focus to me. It would have turned restraint into aggression. And, more importantly, it would have given them time to adjust their story. So I waited. I listened more carefully. Not emotionally, but strategically. I paid attention to what was shared freely and what was withheld. To the gaps between their private words and public actions. They assumed my continued silence meant safety. That assumption made them careless. The internal conflict wasn't about whether I could expose them. It was about whether exposure would actually change anything. I realized something unsettling. Revealing their secrets wouldn't dismantle their influence. It would only make me look reactive. They underestimated something essential. I didn't need to speak to shift the balance. I needed to withdraw. Distance, I learned, does what confrontation often can't. It removes leverage. So I began to step back. Subtly. Without explanation. I stopped being available for long conversations. Stopped offering reassurance. Stopped absorbing emotional weight that was never meant to be shared honestly. The effect was immediate. They felt it before they understood it. Confusion replaced confidence. Their access to me, their quiet advantage, was gone. And without it, their certainty weakened. What followed wasn't panic. It was exposure without revelation. Their behavior changed. Conversations became guarded. Tone shifted. The ease they once had around me evaporated. They were aware something had moved, but they didn't know where. That was the power shift. Not because I used what I knew. Because I refused to carry it anymore. Their secrets lost relevance the moment I stopped being part of the equation. I didn't need to weaponize information. I simply removed myself as a witness. Without my presence, their private narratives had nowhere to rest. No silent confirmation. No emotional outlet. They began to contradict themselves publicly. Small inconsistencies at first. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to create doubt. Not because I said anything. Because they were no longer calibrated around someone who knew the full picture. I watched this unfold with a strange calm. There was no satisfaction in it. Just confirmation. Confirmation that silence, when chosen deliberately, can be more destabilizing than exposure. They tried to re-engage. To re-establish closeness. Invitations resurfaced. Familiar warmth returned briefly. But it was different now. I could feel the intent behind it. They wanted access back. Control back. I didn't refuse. I didn't accuse. I remained distant. And without my participation, their influence shrank. Not overnight. Gradually. People noticed shifts they couldn't quite explain. Credibility weakened at the edges. The dynamic that once protected them no longer existed. All because I chose restraint over reaction. In the end, nothing exploded. No secrets were revealed publicly. No dramatic confrontations took place. And yet, the outcome was decisive. They lost leverage. I kept my dignity. Trust, I learned, isn't proven by how much you're told. It's proven by how you're treated when you know. When someone confides in you while undermining you, intimacy becomes a test. Not of loyalty, but of self-respect. Withholding information isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's clarity. Sometimes it's the refusal to participate in a dynamic that only functions when you stay silent for the wrong reasons. I didn't expose them. I didn't need to. Their own contradictions did that work for me once I stepped away. Silence kept their secrets safe. Distance made them powerless. If you've ever been trusted by someone who didn't respect you, you understand this tension. The question isn't what you could reveal. It's whether keeping your dignity matters more than proving the truth.